Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Legacy Sports Car Series. Today, we're at round 2 of Sebring International Raceway. As always, thank you to the guys at Legacy Sports Car Series, as well as Ledford Construction for sponsoring the series, for having us back in the booth. My name is James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, bringing you the action 1080p, 60 frames a second, as we get ready to go out for qualifying here today. Again, this is round 2, and you will see several different classes represented here today in qualifying. Legacy Sports Car Series, a free-to-enter series with a lot of inexpensive car options as well as good tracks. We've got the Honda ARX 01Cs, the LMP2s, the Daytona prototype, the Riley Daytona prototypes. Both of those cars only $3. We've got the GT1 class with the Aston Martin DBR9s, the Chevrolet Corvette C6Rs. And we've also got the GT3s, the Ford GT3s, the BMW Z4, and the Ferrari 488 will be representing our GT3 class here today. Now, this format of Legacy Sports Car Series, it's a 15-minute open qualifying, and then we have a 45-minute feature event. Right now, we've got 8 cars out on track. Jacob Money, Alex Penn, Andrew Neri, Jack Forsey, Jason Conley, Gareth Mcallister, Connor Brown, and Nick Terrell all coming out here today. And good to be back in the booth with the guys. This is one of the cleaner series we run when they don't have too many accidents, but when they do, pretty spectacular. As we're going to see what our drivers can do out in qualifying here today as they get ready for their first time laps. Jacob Money getting into, I believe that was Forsey in the number 74 machine. Waiting for some clean lap, or a clean track maybe to go out and put down a qualifying time. As let's see what Money can do in his Honda LMP2. Only 2 LMP2 drivers making out today. We've got Money and Terrell both represented. You've got Money in the number 24, Terrell in the 81. And Sebring should be pretty interesting for these guys to make their way around at. Now, last week for the season opener, we had a lot of fun. It was Dayton Lowe putting on the top spot in the Honda LMP2s. Gareth Mcallister winning it for the GT3s. Jack Forsey bringing home the win in Daytona prototype. And Team Kamikaze and Rise Motorsports both scoring a whole lot of points in the opening round. Going to be interesting to see how things shake up here at Daytona. At Sebring after our round 1 at Daytona. Now, these opening 2 weeks, there's been a lot of iRacing special event endurance races with the Petite Le Mans and another event kind of overlapping with the Legacy Sports Car Series that runs every Saturday. So a little bit lighter grids than we've seen in the past, but that should be shaken up as the season progresses. Now, every Saturday, this session opens up for 1 hour of practice at 3 p.m. Eastern. Qualifying kicking off at 4 p.m. and the grid starting at 4:15. Money puts down the first time lap of the race with a 148.61. Forsey Penn clicks off a 156.17. As at the top of the screen, you'll be able to see who is currently fastest in each class. On that opening lap, it was Money in the LMP2s, Penn in the Daytona prototypes, Neri in the GT1, and Forsey with the GT2s. That should be saying GT3 as we've updated things this season. Terrell clicks off a 148.58. He's about 1/10 off of money in qualifying for the LMP2s. Let's check on Nick Terrell on the number 81 machine and see what he can do. Now these guys are going to go out in qualifying setups running the least amount of fuel they possibly can. To try and click off the fastest lap times possible. Conley on top of pole in the GT2 class, I believe. We'll check on Conley, see how he's doing. Good to see the guys out here running strong here today. It's a very fun series to run. Again, free to join, inexpensive cars, so you can have a whole lot of fun. And a very good way to get into road racing if that's not something you're quite comfortable with. Conley, his last time by a 155.42, unable to improve on his 155.35 he did on his first time lap here today. Nick Terrell's going to go back out on track to see if he can improve on a 148.58. Right now in the LMP2s, the pole is held by Jacob Money with a 148.39. Now, a lot of these guys spend a lot of time throughout the week putting in work, trying to get the lap times as low as they possibly can. And for most of these cars, there's a fair amount of setups already available. But for a couple of the cars, not quite as many options. And again, what really thrives here is the cars that maybe got phased out by iRacing, but guys still want to race them. A great example, Gareth Mcallister in the Ferrari in the GT2 class. He is out here running strong in the, the GT3 class in the Ferrari that was recently phased out. I know I am a big fan of that Ferrari GT3. Just a lot of fun to drive. They just updated it in iRacing to the current gen of that Ferrari after I believe it was 2 years that they ran the same model. So coming out here today and still using a car that's more than capable of running quick, just slightly older than what iRacing is going to be having in their official lobbies. Let's see if Terrell's going to be able to improve on a 148.58 at his Honda LMP2. Probably one of my favorite parts about broadcasting this series is we see a lot of the same names and faces throughout the week. Running different league events together, be it ovals, be it sports cars. They're all friends on and off the track. And having a whole lot of fun throughout the week racing with their friends. And as you race with the same group of guys consistently, it allows you to kind of get used to what the guy next to you may be doing out there. Let's see, Terrell getting closer to the finish line. Will he be able to improve on a 148.58 as he makes the final turn onto the start-finish line straight? Got to be careful to avoid that grass on the outside while trying to put the power down as much as possible. Terrell, let's see what it updates to. Unable to improve on his time so far of a 148.58. He's still going to be about 2/10 back from current pole setter Jacob Money. Jason Conley in the GT1s, his fastest lap was a 155.35, about 0.07 of a second faster than Alex Penn and the number 30 machine. Let's see if Conley can improve on a 155.35 because he's got to know Alex Penn is out there charging hard as well to try and improve on his qualifying time to see if he can whittle away at the GT1 pole setter Jason Conley. Conley's last time by a 155.65, unable to improve on his best so far. And unfortunately, Penn will invalidate his lap as he goes off track and comes back down pit road. He'll have to reset, go back out, get ready for it. As again, you're watching Conley in the GT1. Our current pole setter for the class trying to squeeze out a little bit more time. Nick Terrell's come back down pit road, unable to improve on a 148.58. He may be settling for second, or he may be making a few tweaks on the car to try and make some qualifying improvements here. Conley's last time by still showing as a 155.42. And he will bring it down for a quick reset. We'll check on Alex Penn, kart racer, car racer, an all-around likable guy in the Corvette. Also race, ooh, gets a bit of a bobble there. Gets that back left tire onto the grass and gets a little bit exciting. Thankfully, he is on his out lap here, so not too worried about breaking track records his first go-around. Now Penn will go out for another flying lap here to see what he's able to click off, see if he can improve on his 155.43. Again, he's about 0.07 of a second off of the GT1 pole setter Conley. And I've got to say, I love listening to that Corvette make its way around the circuit. Forsey sitting on pole for the Daytona prototypes. Mcallister still leading the GT3s. Penn has a bit of tire smoke there, maybe locked it up. Hopefully it doesn't affect his run too bad, but in a game where you're fighting for a hundredth of a second to try and catch up to the pole setter Conley for the GT1s, every little bobble's going to matter here. Interesting to see which drivers are very happy racing it at Sebring. This is a track that a lot of the guys either love or hate. We talked to some of the drivers in the hauler before today's event. Some guys not quite coming to grip with the track surface, pun fully intended. As Penn will make his way across the line for the final time, does he improve on a 155.43? As he will be the last driver out on track here. Gets a little bit loose, and no, he throws it away right at the end of the line. Let's see what the time is, a 156.81, so Penn unable to improve on that 155.43. He will have to settle for second in qualifying as we're going to get ready for tonight's main event. It'll be 45 minutes here at Sebring. As the current qualifying order on the left side of your screen. At this time, drivers will get their final briefing from race control about what is expected. A few new faces showing up for round two. A few guys running an iRacing special event unable to make it here today. Now, next week is going to be exciting as well as we get ready for round three. That will be at Lime Rock Park for the Lime Rock Grand Prix layout. We've also got Watkins Glen International. We've got Indianapolis, Mid-Ohio, Sonoma, Road America, VIR, Charlotte, Laguna, Homestead. And that will round out the series 12 rounds that will end December 18th. And a whole lot of fun. But let's get ready to take a look at tonight's grid and see where our drivers will be starting at. Starting on pole for the Honda LMP2s, Jacob Money in the number 24. Nick Terrell in the number 81 will be starting second in class and second overall. We've got Jason Conley qualifying on pole for the GT1s in the number 66 machine. Alex Penn in the 30 will qualify second in class, fourth overall. Jack Forsey qualifying on pole for the Daytona Prototypes in the 74. Gareth Mcallister on pole and in sixth in the number 25 machine for the GT3s. Andrew Neri starting seventh overall, second in class in the 654. And then Connor Brown in the number 45 machine will round out tonight's grid, starting eighth and third in class. We're going to send them out behind our iRacing pace car, the safety Porsche that iRacing provides our drivers. And again, if you're just tuning in, this is a 45-minute feature event. With 4 classes represented here today. Lap 1 could be pretty exciting for these drivers as the camera is focused on pole setter and overall leader Jacob Money, who started qualifying very strong ahead of Nick Terrell. Going to be interesting to see how this field sorts out. Who's going to be able to survive lap 1 and who's going to be able to maybe bring home a first-time win. Now both Jacob Money and Nick Terrell are looking for a first-time win. Forsey has a win so far. Alex Penn looking for his first win in the GT1s. And then you've got Connor Brown and Andrew Neri looking for their first wins in the GT3 class. Terrell getting right alongside pole setter Money. As we get ready to send our competitors out to do battle for the second time this season here at Sebring. Here we go. Money gets a spectacular launch. Terrell doesn't quite have the launch he wants, but he's going to try and do his best to catch up. Forsey leads the Daytona prototypes. And then you've got Conley and Penn in tow in the GT1s. And right behind this second pack of drivers are GT3 drivers led by Gareth Mcallister, Andrew Neri, and Connor Brown still running nose to tail early on. And oh no, Forsey involved in an incident. He's going to have to take the roundabout, get back out on track, maybe cook the brakes there. That's going to allow our GT drivers to get intermixed with a faster car. That usually spells disaster later on. Gotta say, loving Forsey's new paint scheme this season. Very easy to spot out on track in the number 74 machine. As Forsey will make his way around Neri in the Barbie painted BMW. Or I thought he was going to make the pass, not quite able to make it stick. Getting around, trying to get around the GT3 driver. As they go side by side, who's got the most amount of speed? Some of these cars are so equally paced. As far as horsepower and top speed, Forsey gets around Neri. Now he's going to try and get around the GT3 class leader, Mcallister, one of our favorite Aussies. Forsey gets a little bit in the grass there. He's got to be careful. We're going to check back out front. Nick Terrell has taken over the overall race lead, as well as the lead for the Honda LMP2 drivers. His last time by a 151.38 compared to Money with a 152.81. As these two drivers are going to do battle. Forsey makes his way around Mcallister, getting in front of all the GT3 drivers. Oh, they're side by side. Narrowly avoiding contact between Nick Terrell and Jacob Money. Money will regain the race lead, hugging the inside line, driving defensively. But Terrell has the draft out here up front. Now Nick Terrell will take over the lead. We're only 3.5 minutes in, and our LMP2 driver is doing a spectacular job putting on a show for our fans at home as they both dodge and weave to avoid the draft. Jacob Money will take it into the final section of the circuit here to start-finish line to lead another lap. And now Money will get another lap led, clicking off a 150.75. That is the fastest lap of the race so far. But Terrell is going to stay right in tow to the race leader, Money, and the number 24 machine. As our LMP2 driver is putting on a spectacular show here today. Terrell still staying within a half second of your race leader, Money. As it looks like Money is extending his lead slightly to about 0.8 of a second over Terrell. But this is a game of consistency for our drivers in what is usually a one-stop race. It is not necessarily he who puts down the fastest lap, but who can do so consistently with the overall fastest laps is what's going to bring you home a win and ultimately a championship if you're consistent enough. Now, Money, I believe, is a new racer to the Legacy Sports Car Series, as he did not race the opening round at Daytona. I don't believe we've seen him out here before, so good to see another strong driver come out, putting on a show. As we're going to take you on board the number 81 machine of Nick Terrell in that Honda LMP2, trying his best to catch up to Money. Still about 0.8 separating your lead driver, Money, with Terrell in second. Neri in the 654 has an off track in the GT3 class. Gets it back, pointing in the right direction. Doesn't show as too bad of damage on that machine. As we check on Neri in the BMW, he's going to come down pit road, turning on that pit lane limiter. Conley still leading the GT1 drivers around the circuit. He's chased still relatively closely by Penn and the number 30 machine. Penn is about 1.1 seconds back from the class leader, Conley. As all of these cars are a whole lot of fun to drive, even around a circuit such as Sebring, which is either, again, loved or hated by our drivers here today. Now, I believe Conley was also the champion last season with the GT1 driver, showing up once more in his freshly painted car, the Aston Martin DBR9. No, it was actually DJ Weeks that won the championship in Season 1 in the GT1. McAllister won the championship in GT2, which is now our GT3 class. And it was Jumpin' Johnny Eckert winning Daytona Prototypes with Nick Terrell in the 81 winning the Honda LMP2 Championship. Penn still holding his own in the Corvette. He's about 1.2 seconds back from the class leader, Jason Conley. While Gareth Mcallister leads the GT3s by a country mile. Conley doing a great job clicking off laps. Let's check back on Nick Terrell, number 81 machine. He's about 2.5 seconds back from overall race leader and class leader Jacob Money. Terrell's last time by, a 150.33 compared to your race leader, Money, who clicked off a 149.31. Money's fastest lap of the race was a 148.73 compared to Terrell. He clicked off a 149.51 early on into the race. And as usual, we're expecting these drivers to pit around the halfway mark, around that 20-minute spot on the top left of your screen, showing the running order of our drivers. As now we will check on Forsey and the number 74 Daytona Prototype. He's kind of all alone there in no man's land. He's got Penn about 13 seconds ahead of him, and he's got Mcallister about 25 seconds back. So he will keep his head down, keep clicking off his laps here. And he will have a nice, easy day, not having too many problems so far. As Forsey's last time by was his fastest, a 156.27. We'll see if he improves on that with all the clean air that he currently has, but we're actually going to check back on Jason Conley, as Alex Penn seems to have caught up back to within 0.8 of a second of the class leader in GT1, Jason Conley. Not sure if Conley had a bit of a bobble that allowed Penn to capitalize or what may have been the issue. But a gap that was 1.5 seconds is down to about 0.9 between Conley and Penn for the GT1 drivers. Penn doing everything he can in that Corvette to try and whittle away at the gap to Conley. Conley's extended his lead once more to about 2.4 seconds over Penn. But let's see who the most consistent driver is as these runs progress. We've seen late crashes before in the Legacy Sports Car Series. And just like that, Penn goes for a ride, tags the inside wall right as the camera was focused on the number 30 machine. He's going to take a look at his overlay, maybe talk to his spotter, make sure it's a clean track, rejoin. Doesn't appear that there's too much damage on the front of the number 30 machine, but now he's got to try and clear those tires of grass because he knows right behind him, Forsey and the number 74 machine, a different class driver, will try and make an overtake if Penn is not able to get it pointing in the right direction with those tires cleaned off and put his head back down. And this may also allow Forsey to pick up a draft from the GT1 driver and possibly improve on his fastest lap of the race. Speaking of fastest laps of the race, your race leader Jacob Money clicks off a 1:48.13 late into the run, about 15 minutes into this run. And yes, Forsey's going to pick up the draft. It'll be interesting to see what Forsey's lap time will be this time by. See if he can maybe improve on his 1:56.27 that he ran early on in the race. That was his fastest lap of the race in the Daytona prototype. But now he's got a draft from a faster class car to use to his advantage. Having Penn push through all that air on his behalf. And now the Daytona prototype's going to grow some legs, find some new top speed. And let's see if he can stay in the draft down the start-finish line straight. Forsey with the 1:56.38, so not quite able to improve on his fastest lap of the race, but definitely using the draft of Penn to his advantage. We're going to check on class leader in the GT3s. That's Gareth Mcallister as he gets overtaken by the race leader, Jacob Money, the overall leader. Now here comes Nick Terrell, the number 81 machine. He'll have to navigate traffic. He's already gotten around Connor Brown and Andrew Neri. But now he will be approaching Mcallister in the number 25 Ferrari. And then soon, relatively soon after, it'll be Forsey in the number 74 Daytona prototype. Terrell right on the back bumper looking for a way around Mcallister. Will do so on the outside line and make an easy day of it. Nick Terrell still second on track overall. He's about 7 seconds back from your race leader. Penn had another off-track excursion in the number 30 Corvette, not having the night he wanted here at Sebring. That's going to allow Forsey back by once more. Forsey clicking off his fastest lap of the race on 1:56.06. That draft very important for the Daytona prototype driver, Jack Forsey in the 74. Allowing him to find just a little bit more speed. As Penn will once again have to find a way through the number 74 Daytona prototype driver. Now, despite being different classes, the pace not very far off amongst the two drivers. Forsey's fastest lap of the race, a 1:56.06. Penn's fastest was a 1:55.24. So with only a second difference roughly across the surface here at Sebring, not as easy to make passes on traffic as you would expect with drivers in different classes. But these multi-class races always make it a little bit more exciting with another element thrown in the mix, as you've got both drivers with different skill sets as well as drivers with different machinery. And now Penn will pick up the draft from Forsey down the start, or the final straightaway before the start-finish line. Penn clicks off a 1:56.26. Forsey with a 1:56.82. That draft helping both drivers out immensely. They're going to come up on traffic here. I believe that's going to be Neri in the 654 machine. Forsey goes to the inside of Neri. Penn opts to wait a little bit longer to get around the GT3 driver. Looking for a safe spot to pass, and Neri holds the inside line nice and tight, allowing Penn up the inside. And both Penn and Forsey will get through traffic without any worries. Penn's still about a second and a half behind Forsey, not able to navigate traffic quite as cleanly. But in theory, he should be able to catch up to Forsey in a couple of laps here. As we approach the halfway mark, it is still Money leading the overall as well as the LMP2s. Conley leading the GT1s, Forsey leading the Daytona Prototypes, and Mcallister comfortably in the lead for the GT3 drivers. Going to be interesting to see how the pit stops come into play and how that could shake things up. We've seen races won or lost here at the Legacy Sports Car Series on pit strategy and sometimes pit mistakes. Conley with a big blink number 66 machine. Hopefully he's able to keep that under control. He does not want to throw a good race lead with internet problems here today. As in the background, you can see Penn trying to catch back up to Forsey, still about 2.6 separating the two drivers, Forsey and Penn. Conley coming down pit road right at the halfway mark in the GT1s. He will take just fuel, I believe, not expecting him to take tires. Let's take a look and see. rev bomb in the number 66. Again, does not appear to be taking tires. I'm not sure if he has repairs. Nick Terrell in the 81 also coming down pit road. Conley goes back out. Forsey, right now it's Money, Forsey, and that's pretty much it, opting to stay out. Conley coming in on lap 12. Alex Penn comes down pit road to make it a one-stop race. Mcallister, let's see if he stays out in the number 25 machine or if he's going to try and stretch the legs of the Ferrari just a little bit longer. Not sure if he's signaling for a pit stop. No, Mcallister is going to stay out a little bit longer than Ferrari. Now, some of the strategy for these guys may be is to really stretch the fuel run out so that way their final pit stop has less fuel in the machine. They can go a little bit faster. Nick Terrell in the pit lane for a very long time, about 50 seconds so far he has spent in his box. Not sure if he's got damage on the front of that number 81 or what may be happening here. Or possibly a speeding penalty. It's tough to tell. Money, your overall race leader, opting to stay out, putting the entire field down. Oh no, Alex Penn. More problems. Let's take a quick look and see what happened to Penn in the number 30 machine. Looks like Penn maybe just too hard on the brakes, tries to take the offshoot, and then gets into the grass. Unfortunately, not a very bad incident for Penn in the number 30 machine, but will cost him some more time in a race where he needs to not make any mistake. But Penn will be able to rejoin the service, get those tires cleaned off, and get back out there. Meanwhile, back up front, your race leader, overall leader, Jacob Money's going to come down pit road. Nick Terrell still in his box a minute and 40 seconds later. Not sure what's going on with the number 81 machine or if he may be retired for the evening. Jason Conley still out after his pit stop on lap 12. He should be able to make it a one-stop race fairly comfortably in number 66. So right now you've got Money, Forsey, and Terrell all in pit road. Everyone has completed their stops except for two of our GT3 drivers, Mcallister and Brown. Still staying out, still running strong. Let's see how long Mcallister can stretch it out on fuel here before he absolutely has to bring in the number 25 Ferrari down the pit lane for his scheduled fuel stop here today. And yes, Mcallister, no, it looked like he was signaling for a pit entry there, slowing it way, way down. Mcallister still out front for the GT3s, not having any worries. He's got a large gap over second place. As how long will McAllister stretch it out for? The answer is he will make it about 29 minutes into tonight's main event before he comes down pit road. That will allow him to take a little bit less fuel and get back out there as quick as he can to click off the remaining 16 minutes here at the Legacy Sports Car Series main event. Penn, who's had a night marred by tragedy in the number 30 Corvette, back out on track. Relatively clean track, thankfully. But we touched on it early in the broadcast. This series is all about consistency. Making the fewest amount of mistakes. And last season, Penn, he was piloting an LMP2, was running very strong, but the season was kind of marred by mistakes that ended up with a very damaged race car. And at one point, Penn actually had a race at a Daytona prototype with his LMP2 not being able to be repaired in time. Not quite sure what the reason was to switch to the GT1 this season. But maybe just the driver trying to do something a little bit different. Again, these guys all run multiple series together. Penn still clicking off laps, keeping his head down. Money out front, not having many issues in the number 24 LMP2. As the second place LMP2 driver, Nick Terrell, seems to have retired as he is in his box for over 7 minutes so far. No sign of coming back. Good to see Money out here today, though, trying to pick up his very first win. But he will once again have traffic to contend with here. Able to cut through everybody nice and easy, not having too many woes. Only 2 drivers still on the lead lap. That's Jacob Money. And it's just Jacob Money, it looks like. Conley still shows in the lead lap. But I'm not entirely sure that's accurate, or he's about to go a lap down. I believe he's still on the lead lap just ever so slightly. As most likely, I think within the next lap, maybe half lap, you'll see the overall race leader Money come through and lap the entire field here today. As Money's going to once again come around McAllister and the Ferrari and the number 25 machine, your class leader for the GT3s. As now, just ahead, you should have Conley, the number 66 machine, your class leader for the GT1, fighting to stay on the lead lap ahead of Jacob Money. But that's going to be a tough feat to manage with the Honda LMP2 driver putting down so much pace. There comes Money in the LMP2. And this is what 6 seconds a lap difference will look like here shortly. And let's see if Money's going to get through nice and clean. The last thing he wants to do is throw away a perfectly good race lead. Looks like Conley tries to give him as wide of a berth as possible. Money will quickly go up the inside, making easy work of it. But oh no, we've got another crash as Andrew Neri hits a bit of a snag. Let's take a quick look at that one and see what happened to Neri in the 654. So this is the final section of the circuit. Neri in the BMW. Let's see what happens. And just tags the outside wall. Maybe caught Neri sleep in the 654 machine as he will take a tow back to pit lane after a very odd crash. As we go back up front to your race leader, Jacob Money, who has lapped the entirety of the field. Let's check on Mcallister, your current class leader for the GT3s, out there keeping his head down and making the fewest amount of mistakes possible. Now, if the live timing software is correct, I don't believe Mcallister has an off track here yet in the number 25 Ferrari. Being extremely consistent throughout the run with only 10 minutes left to go. He's looking very good for another win here today. Mcallister's last time by a 2:05.03. His fastest of the race was a 2:03.29. Now, part of that could be knowing that he has a comfortable lead and not wanting to throw it away. He's got about a 13.5-second gap over here to his friend in the number 45 Ford GT3, Connor Brown. Brown has a bit of a bobble. That's going to allow Mcallister more chance to extend his lead. So I believe what you're seeing here is Mcallister just playing it nice and safe, allowing Jack Forsey to go through in the number 74 machine. Again, not wanting to risk throwing away an incident here. Money out front, not having any issues here today. The number 24 machine has been flying. Now he's another driver that's backed pretty far off the pace. His last time by a 152.73. His fastest lap of the race was a 148. So Money knows just stay out of trouble, and he can bring home his first win here for the Legacy Sports Car Series. Let's see what his last lap will be here coming through. About 6 minutes left to go for our competitors. He clicks off a 156.13, so he's actually slowing down. I think that is Money knowing that he's got a comfortable lead, not wanting to throw it away here, the number 24. If he can make no mistakes, he's looking very good for that first time win. About 5 minutes left to go. It's still Money leading the Honda LMP2s, Conley leading the GT1s, Forsey the Daytona Prototypes, and Mcallister in the GT3s. We're checking in with our GT3 leader, Mcallister. He's still about 14.5 seconds ahead of second place in class, Connor Brown. Both Mcallister and Brown are up one spot from where they started here today. Excuse me. Mcallister looking good. He won the GT2 class again last season, and he is looking even better for a second win as he won at Daytona early on in the season, looking for one more win here to extend his points lead. Over, I believe, Connor Brown is who he's going to be battling out. Both teammates with Rise Motorsports out here today, currently running 1 and 2. They've got to be happy as a team to be putting on such a performance here. As this will be the final closing laps for our competitors. Again, it is a 45-minute feature event, and we are almost to the 43.5-way mark. As it looks like Alex Penn finding a little bit of time and a little bit of pace as he's catching up to Mcallister. But again, two different class drivers here. As we focus the camera on Penn, Connor Brown, though, involved in an incident in his Ford GT3. He's going to fall back another 15 seconds. Having a little bit of, excuse me. Having a little bit of aero damage on the back right. We're going to see if he can maybe limp it home here. Alex Penn's going to get once again ahead of Mcallister. Again, two different class drivers here. Penn racing the GT1s, Mcallister in the GT3s. But we're going to check back in with Jacob Money on the closing laps here today at Sebring, where he is looking very good to pick up his first ever win for the Legacy Sports Car Series. Only a half minute remains before the checkered flag waves, as I believe Money will have to do one more lap as he will cross the checkered, I think, before the checkered flag flies, unless he rapidly slows down here. And no, I think he's going to slow down ever so slightly to take the checkered to avoid doing his massive victory lap. Conley's going to do one more lap. As no, the checker flag will fly here at Sebring. It's going to be Jacob Money bringing home the win for the Honda LMP2s. Jason Conley winning the GT1s. Forsey will pick up the win for the Daytona prototypes. And I believe Mcallister, we're going to wait for him to come around to see and make sure he doesn't have any final bobbles here today. And yes, Mcallister will bring home the win for the GT3s, making it 2 in a row for Rise Motorsports. Let's see if we get a little bit of celebration from Money in the number 24 Daytona prototype, picking up his very first win here at the Legacy Sports Car Series with an absolute dominant performance here today at Sebring. So here's your overall results for the day. Money put it on the top spot. Conley second overall. Forsey third overall. And then we'll break down the individual results. It's Jacob Money winning the LMP2s. Nick Terrell second. We'll cycle it back to GT1s, where it's Jason Conley and Alex Penn going 1 and 2. And then GT3, where it's going to be Mcallister, Brown, and Neri bringing home the top 3 spots. And finally, it will be the Daytona prototypes, where it was Jack Forsey all by himself picking up the win. As always, on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, as well as the Legacy Sports Car Series, thank you all so much for tuning in today as we get ready for next week for round 3, where we head to Lime Rock for more side-by-side action. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next week.